Well, let me
Yeah.
try one, and if it fucks up, we'll just carry on as though it didn't fuck up, and we'll just carry on recording. How does that sound?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Hello, welcome to Crude Mistakes. Let's
That's
just start
one.
one more time. Hello, welcome to No.1 Crude Mistakes with myself, Glenn from No.1 Projects, and KJ from Crude But Efficient, and Havard from Behind the Mistakes.
Oh.
How was that pronunciation, Havard?
I didn't know I was from France, but yeah, that's a first. But
Can we get a rating from 1 to 10? How pleased are you?
Because I've had some help from a man on the inside, another Norwegian.
I would say a 7, strong 7.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah,
so I'm not mentioning any names, but a friend of mine, Homemade Marco, gave me a heads up.
Well, he's a bit biased. He's not Norwegian by trade, I should say. But
is he French?
No, I think wasn't he
German?
Yeah, German.
I don't know.
Said on his Instagram, I think. If I read the flags right.
It sounds like both of you, so.
Thanks, I guess.
Good or bad. Yeah, thanks. I guess.
Hey, I'm the odd man out here.
That's going to be a frequent bit on my side. It's like I'm going to pronounce something, and then it's going to be like, "Was that right, Glenn?" Just you're going to be my spell check live.
Oh yeah, you're asking the wrong guy. I'm from the wrong part of England for this.
Well, you have been speaking English the longest of us, so.
Yeah, I just don't speak it the best.
But it's kind of hard when you know the word and you have the correct pronunciation in your head, but when you open your mouth, it just comes out in the wrong order.
I've never heard any problems from you guys, to be honest with you. You all have this worry that your speech and the way you pronounce things isn't correct, but you do really, really well. The only thing I ever notice is that you have a little bit more of an Americanism to your voices, but that's about it, really. Other than that, you sound perfectly normal.
Can I get that in writing?
Absolutely, I'll sign it as well.
Put it on my workshop wall.
So, KJ, where should we start? Why don't you kick us off?
Me? Why?
Yep.
Oh. Yeah. Where do we start? Why do we start? That's a good question. Why do we start making? I think that's a fair point to start, I would say.
Yeah, and who's answering that first? Me or Hovard?
Should we do the making in general, or making as in the maker community, making on YouTube, internet? Or...
You're asking the question, Sunshine.
I mean, the lines between those are kind of blurry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the making of various kind has been the baseline for as long as I can remember, but stumbling over the maker community, and mostly through YouTube and Instagram, it kind of came as an epiphany, just realizing, oh, there are other weirdos out there just having weird ideas, and then, ooh, I should go in my garage and make that. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. I mean, finding the maker community for me probably, started, as it does with all of us, through YouTube, and then you, as Havard says, you you get to realize that there are other weirdos out there, and then listening to other podcasts. For me, particularly the Three Northern Makers, listening to that podcast and them having the Discord made me start feeling like part of an actual community. And then going through to Maker Central and meeting a few of these weirdos for real was just fantastic, and it does make you feel welcome. And know that you can message these guys and feel part of something where everybody's so friendly and welcoming.
So how have you both felt like weirdos in realizing that you were makers, or you were something that everyone else wasn't?
Not a weirdo so much in my instance, just the only one out of everybody I know.
Yeah, because I had this. My thoughts growing up was that this was nothing special. I mean, I grew up on a farm, so we did everything we could do. We did ourselves because that was kind of the game. If I don't have to buy something, if I can make it myself, then I won. So I just assumed that everyone likes to make stuff and go out in a shed and carve a stick and all of that sort of thing. But then as I grew older, uh, I, I somewhat realized that no, everyone else doesn't want to do this. It was, I think, the final straw was when we got this house and you have guests over and you go on tour and show them, oh, this is the kitchen, this is the living room. And then I thought, oh, and now the pièce de resistance, the workshop in the basement. No, why would we want to go down in the basement? And my wife said, why do you drag them down in the basement? But that's the best part.
That's the
And
poshest
I
room
mean,
in the
no one
house.
was really interested. And then I realized, is there something wrong with me? Uh, but then I found the maker community, and as you said, found other weirdos all around the internet, and that felt like coming home.
I think to me it was a two-stage rocket. My father was an radio electrical engineer, just building stuff in the basement. So we had a lot of components and everything. And then he started a computer shop. So we also had an abundance in parts and things that you could mash together and make things of. And you had the same mindset that if you have an idea, just follow up on it, just see where it takes you. So I guess I just got that in from very early age. And then I went off to college, and then I had the first time where I got just paired together with the same kind of weirdos because we all applied to that same school studying industrial design and so on. So then you had the same people with the same mindset having nothing to do but having beers in the evening and thinking of weird stuff we should do. And that was a great time. And then, of course, when we all graduated, we moved to different cities and then we got jobs. And then you had that feeling of like now you should do the regular life. You should just go to work and then you should go home and sleep and eat and then go to work again. And then I realized that the people I was working with now, they didn't have workshops in their cellar, but I thought everybody had that and were doing and making stuff and fixing things on their own. And then I realized most people don't, and they're not even interested. When we bought our house, and I just realized, ooh, there's a garage here it's too small for a modern car, but it's too big to be like just a shed or something. So I just got the go ahead from my wife, do whatever you want. So the first half year after we moved in, I just established a workshop. And from there on in, it's like that's my place where I go to. And then, of course, stumbling over the maker community, I realized there are other people sitting in their garage with toys, basically. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
so it's been a journey. And of course, like every realization you do late in life, that of course I should have done everything much earlier. But
Definitely.
you can't think that way because the person you are today is like molded by all the crossroads you have passed through on your way to getting there. So
Yeah.
I'm not complaining, but yeah,
Yeah. But still, I mean, that was over 10 years that I didn't know that people were posting maker stuff on YouTube. I thought YouTube was just music videos and makeup tutorials and comedy bits. If I only known
But
that
but those
all of
makeup tutorials have proved really useful in the past, I've got to say.
that. Also, that's why you look so good.
That's right, yes. This is not a real tan.
That's
I think
after having children and then of course girls. My search history has changed a bit on YouTube.
That's why you create separate accounts for that.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I should launch a second hair braiding account for girl dads.
I think for me on the making front and the starting making, I mean, the only making I did as a child really was with Lego, and then as an adult buying my first house and whatnot. Just it was just grown up making, but it's the same thing. It's still making in my book. So doing houses up, getting them livable, selling them, moving on to the next best house, and then later on in my career doing all the woodwork and soft landscaping for a landscaping company, and things like that. And then last year I decided to build my workshop because I wanted somewhere to play in the winter because all of my pursuits were outside. And towards the end of the build, I thought, oh, do you know what? It'd be really good to start sharing these things because I'm always dragging my neighbours in when I've made something and say, "Come and look at this! Look what I've done!" But
But
let's start
oh,
sharing this and get a YouTube channel going, and and start on Instagram, and it's just been a blast.
I
But
mean,
it's
that
internet is basically just a big fridge where all the kids put their drawings and say, "Look what I made! Look what
that's
I made!"
right.
yeah, but
Then
that's an interesting question to follow up with. What make you just decide, all right, I should put this on YouTube? Like
I've
people will
I
probably want to see this. I mean, what
no,
what process?
I didn't think anybody would want to see this. And that's where the problem starts when a few people do actually start watching your videos and you get that one video which does do well in my book. And that starts adding extra pressure. It's like, oh, what do I do now? Do I carry on making the same thing? Do I just carry on making what I want? It is a really tricky question on where to go next with it. But I
And that
think I'm
makes
just
it
gonna.
even
Sorry,
that,
carry on.
that makes it even more interesting because like myself, I didn't think that, oh, this is something that people probably would like to watch. But still, I took that decision at some point that, all right, now I'm going to go down in my workshop and I'm going to make a project, but I'm
Yeah,
also going to do a parallel job, which is adding to the workload times
yeah, yeah,
manifolds to also film this, to
yeah.
edit it and put it out on YouTube. That's
All for free.
all for
Almost.
free.
Almost in your case, definitely for free in mine and KJ's case.
yeah, I mean, it was that finding the right community with people that did stuff that I felt I could do this. I could also contribute to this community, not in a way that I thought people would like to see what I've done, but because it would be fun to do it. Because I've always liked video editing and having make a community where you can post stuff for people to look at if they want to. That's that's just another this it's enough reason to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never set out to be the best on YouTube. I just try not to be the worst.
It seems horrible to be in the top tier. You have to think about subscribers and views and all of that. Having YouTube
Oh,
as a full-time job sounds
yeah.
horrible.
I don't know.
Perhaps part-time would be acceptable,
I
but
wouldn't mind Colin Furz's playground. That looks like fun.
Jesus, that man has done some serious work to get there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Oh,
Yeah,
he's earned every penny of it.
Yeah.
and I think many makers that's venturing into YouTube kind of early on realizes that there is a threshold because it is something you do on your spare time, and you just have so much spare time before you have to go to bed, and then you have a work. And for the vast majority of people doing YouTube, it's not sustainable in itself. So you have to have a work and you have a life outside the workshop as well that sustains this hobby. So,
Yeah,
of course, I've talked to many people that have this dream that they don't want to blow up, but it would be nice to pass a threshold where you can actually have this as a full time job, not having to have a second job to
yeah,
support it. But as everyone knows, that usually takes years of hard work to get there.
yeah,
And it takes just as much work to keep you there. And I don't remember who said it, but you're also at the mercy of the companies owning the platform.
Yeah.
So you
yeah,
might have a job today doing what you like, and then they change some preferences, or
yeah,
the people move to another platform, and then you suddenly have lost your revenue stream.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then what you do then? And I mean, having that hanging over your head all the time is probably going to take a toll on your mental state at some
yeah,
point.
Yeah, and I mean, making in YouTube and all of this. This is my fun time. This is my keeping my sanity. I wouldn't want to mix in and have to worry about paying my mortgage with this. Then I would have to find another outlet.
No, no offense, KJ, but watching your videos, it looks like it's the place where you let go of your sanity. So,
Well, a bit of both, I guess.
yeah, absolutely. I liken the whole YouTube progression thing to swimming badges. So I think you released your first video, and I think it's like getting your 5 meter swimming badge. And I think if you get to the monetization stage, that's your 25-meter swimming badge. And I'd quite like to get to that. I'd quite like my next badge, and then I'll take it from there.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. This reminds me, just talking about it, that when started, when I found the maker community and started all of this, I was really hesitant on starting a YouTube channel. I actually just posted all my videos on Instagram for the first 6 months or something like that because I did not want to be one of those. Oh, hey, here's my new YouTube channel, and then just post 3 videos and then die
Yeah,
because that it it felt so sad. a little
yeah,
a little piece of me died with every making YouTube channel that died. So I didn't want to add to that. So I kept off YouTube as long as I could, more or less. And then
yeah,
it just felt right to switch over. Uh,
I've
I, I
done.
I
Sorry.
keep telling myself that that's the reason why my first 10 videos or something like that have really low numbers, because I just batch uploaded them when I started the channel. It's not that they're really crap
no,
and early
they're really.
attempts on trying to learn how to do this.
It's a big learning curve with the editing, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, that was massive for me. I mean, I turned a computer on for the first time since school last year, and then got my daughter to show me the basics on editing and take it from there. But I've grown to love it. I have. I mean, I don't fully understand what I'm doing most of the time, but I still love it.
That's the important part.
Absolutely. I think I've grown to love the editing more than I have the making actually now.
Well, then I'm not there. I hate editing, but I had a realization because I had one software which I've used for many years, which I bought many years ago when we made a music video at my previous work. And I've used that for years, and it worked okay. But then I think they updated the software to a level where it didn't function on my computer. So I was forced to try to look for other things, and then I found DaVinci, and that was like night and day. and the previous one, which was Sony Vegas. It's a professional company, professional software. So I thought
Yeah.
this is probably along the industry standard. So I thought everyone else at that level was at the same build-up, but that's not true at all. So when I changed, I actually find some joy in editing. I'm not going to say I love it, but I found some joy, and some functionalities has actually saved me hours on editing
Yeah.
on that software alone.
Right.
So it's worth just chopping around and trying several ones.
Yeah.
And of course, I did that error that I got my company to buy that license for me that time. So it's I had that, and that tied me up to that for so many years.
Yeah. So what do you use, KJ? And do you like editing?
Uh, I do like editing, and I use what's it called? Uh, mm, Moa, Movavi.
Oh, okay.
Movavi video editor. I
Yeah.
was searching around on the internet because I did not feel like paying for Premiere Pro,
Yeah.
uh, which I had some experience of using in a not strictly legal sense when I was at uni. So I just something that I could buy for just for cheap, basically. I
Yeah.
think it cost about. It was one of those programs when you installed it and oh, this is the free version. You can buy this for 50 quid. Okay, no, I'll uninstall it. Oh, if you try now, by now you get 50% off when you uninstall it. So then I installed it once more and then had to uninstall it just to get that discount link. But then I looked at DaVinci as well, and I've downloaded, but it seems to be so have so much to be such a steep learning curve that I
Right.
haven't taken that step yet. I really should, but
I was going to comment that when you have a steep learning curve like this, there is something called YouTube, which is kind of nifty. You can just go in there and then you just write down, how do I do this in DaVinci? And then you get a very fairly easy recipe.
Oh, I don't know about that. I was watching YouTube videos on Audacity yesterday, and I'm still none the wiser. Going back to what we used to edit on, I use CapCut, and I find that quite easy to use. It seems to have plenty of features, and it's free. You know, that's the main thing. So I quite enjoy using that at the moment.
yeah, the thing that's keeping me back from actually jumping into the deep end of the pool and start using DaVinci is just having time to sit down and actually learn it, because I have a lot of plates spinning, so to speak, and just to be able to do half of the things I want to do. I mean, there's a reason why my watch later list on YouTube has, I think, 125 videos or something like that at the
Right.
moment, because there's just not enough hours in the day.
I realized the same, and I think that's also the way I make any project. It's to learn something new, and I don't do that by reading up and watching videos. I start doing, and then I figure it out as I go. And of course, that's gonna take longer time, and you're gonna make mistakes and so on. But
Yeah.
that's still, I as long as I enjoy the process, it's okay in my
It's
mind.
definitely more enjoyable learning by burning.
That's the process I go through. I try not to do any research on the project first. Just go for it and film it and see how it turns out. And
And
I've
that's
only
the
had one
problem, of
major
course.
failure up to yet.
Well, that's the problem of just learning by doing. Of course, I like grabbing hold of a person who are really good at it and just, can I lend you for 15 minutes, and then I can just fire off a lot of questions. How do I do this? How do I do this? And that person can show me. That's when I learn the most,
Yeah.
because I can have someone answer my questions, and once I've figured it out, then move to the next thing. But as it turns out, I don't know anyone that do video editing, let alone as a maker doing YouTube. So I don't have anyone to ask. And back to what you said, KJ, I haven't still said to anyone out loud that I'm a YouTuber on my spare time.
Have
Like
you not?
it sits so back in my head to try to get that out and say it out loud because it still sounds weird to me. Although I spend a lot of hours and have put out hours of video content by this, but still, I changed the job last year, and nobody at my new job knows that I post videos on YouTube. And I have never used my last name in any of my social media accounts, so I don't pop up in searches on LinkedIn and so on anyway, so nobody knows. But someday someone will just stumble over a video and isn't that the guy down at first floor? And then, of course, the cat's going to be out of the basket.
I'm in this thing where I like to force myself into situations, and if I find if I say things out loudly, then I have to do them. And I announced I was going to start a YouTube channel while we were having a house party.
Well, you're the odd man out. I mean, I haven't told anyone outside of my house, so to say,
Right.
and I mean, some of my real life friends have found me through they following my wife's Instagram account and then finding me through her. And
Right.
my mother-in-law found out my on my YouTube channel the same way. And but I mean I do zero
You just need to tell it.
promotion in real life.
You need to tell your family and your friends. I mean, they make up half of my subscribers and followers.
Yeah, but still it
I'm
feels
my
so
mum's my
weird.
biggest fan.
Well, in that regard, I'm kind of glad that my mom is 83 and will not be able. I mean, she can't use a computer or a phone or anything.
Right.
So,
My mum was on Instagram before me.
yeah, I mean, but it is as you said, Howard, that talking about it at work, it seems really weird. I mean, when people ask me what I like to do, I do say that. Well, I like making in so many words. I mean, I do some woodworking and some metal work and that kind of thing, but I don't mention that I actually film it and put it online as well and have a little community around it with people. I trade messages with people in Australia and,
Yeah.
and England and everywhere.
It's probably a little bit different for you two. You both got more professional jobs than me.
I don't think professional job seems like the wrong thing to say.
Yeah, I mean, I am a trained professional, but I work on my own. I'm self-employed. I just play in people's gardens and have fun, and get a good suntan, and that's about it, really.
I
It
can't
just
really tell you how much I envied you when you told me that because I've always been. I remember my parents. They started up a company and they worked for many years, and I remember the transition very well because I was around 12 years old, and then they started working in a joint company,
yeah,
and my father and mother hadn't really time to drive me around to activities anymore, and my father came home, had dinner, slept for an hour on the couch, and then he went out to work again until late in the night. And then I realized after some year that I swore to myself I'm never going to be self-employed because I don't want to go through that and I don't want to let my kids go through that. But then there's an intersection there because I'm not built to sit in a cubicle,
no,
and I'm like a pressure cooker of ideas, so I need to have an outlet for the creativity.
yeah,
So then I yearn for that position where you can control your own day, be your
yeah,
own boss.
yeah, yeah,
But that threshold, because my previous experiences is so deeply rooted in me that taking that step to like, all right, I just need to go on my own. That's really hard, and I still haven't even gotten close to that edge
Right.
for jumping into something like that. But I really envy people that has that kind of freedom.
Yeah. Well, up until a couple of weeks ago, I'd actually managed to get my working week down to 4 days as well, which was absolutely perfect. But
Bloody hell.
it's just gone back up again because I'm just the boy that can't say no at the end of the day. That's the problem.
I mean that's the tough part is to actually say no to work.
Yeah.
That is so hard.
I mean, when I first started, I was doing 6.5 day weeks and doing 10 hours a day, and that was a little bit much. But that's when we
It,
had a baby and the wife wasn't working, and
that sounds a bit much. I mean, I have a similar experience as Halvard in that, as I said, I grew up on a farm, and I mean, then your my parents were basically self-employed, taking care of animals, and had, I mean, our income for the year was very dependent on the weather. So that's, I mean,
right.
we never went away on a vacation other than over the day because I mean the cows needed milking both morning and evening. So I swore on a similar thing that I do not want a job that's reliant on the weather, and I don't want to be self-employed and not have full control, so to
Yeah.
speak. A cushy office job seemed really nice to me, and then me working as a consultant as well, I can choose a lot of my own hours and do, I mean, I do what needs to be done, and I decide myself what needs to be done within specific parameters. But then just sitting behind a computer all day, you get really itchy in the fingers doing something out in the real world,
Yeah.
not just drawing stuff on a computer and writing emails. So that's, I mean, that's probably why I'm so drawn to the workshop, actually, to handle some real tools and
Yeah.
doing something that actually exists in the real world.
I find myself at work because I've been doing my job in one form or another for the last 32 years. So I know it inside out, and I really don't need to think about what I'm doing when I'm at work. So I find that's when all the ideas come to me, and I think that's probably good for anybody who's ever struggling with any creativity. Is go out in the garden, go fishing. Where you're forced to do something for several hours, and it just opens up your mind, and things flood in. But then I'm still trapped at work like you guys at the end of the day. I can't action them straight away. It's just my office
I
is a
have the
larger
same.
space.
Yeah, much better on nice days, but of course when it's raining and
Yeah,
snowing sideways, it's nice to have an inside office.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, my
But I
knees would
have the
like an
same.
office one day.
Yeah, that's also something. The knees and the hips and every joint, basically. Well, that's been going steadily downhill since I turned 25. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have the same, and I envy people that I don't know if they have that capability, but it looks like it, that they can go to work and do their work, and then when they get home, they can switch over.
Yeah,
Because I can sit in a meeting at job, and I always have like a pen and paper in my hand because I can't think without holding something. And then a pen is very nice because I'm always sketching and drawing and making notes. And then I can sit in a big important meeting for someone, and then I just drift off, and then, ooh, that'd be a nice idea for a bottle rocket. And then I just start drawing, and then I have to, oh, I need to attend the meeting again. Let's face myself in mentally. And I have the same when I go home. I can sit in the workshop and working, and as long as I'm doing something physical, then I manage to turn my brain off from thinking about things I should have done work wise. So
yeah,
it would be nice to maybe do that cutoff, but I don't have that. I'm thinking about everything all the time. My brain is like an engine just revving up there thinking. So it's interfering with work, and work is interfering with well, the fun stuff, and that's just the way it is. So
You ever had any YouTube ideas that keep you awake at night? It's happened to me several times.
I have. It's maybe a year ago. I made a list. I'm not sure where it is right now, but I just add projects when I have ideas. So I have a backlog of projects that I can do. But as we talked about yesterday, I was sitting in a meeting at work, most probably, and I was thinking about great idea for a Halloween costume, and then I just realized, ooh, I need to order some parts now to get them here in time for me to being able to build it before Halloween. And then that's of course the drawback of doing YouTube, because you have that layer on top of it. Because I could just build the project, but I can't post that video after Halloween, so it needs to be finished then, and I have to add in editing, and then of course life also gets in
Yeah.
between there. So with
There's always
things you
another
can't plan
Halloween
for.
next year. You're okay.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, I'm not stacking up projects for like next Christmas. That would be nice if I had the capacity, but
Yeah.
I had the
Then
idea
next year you
to.
won't have
Sorry,
the
Ken.
passion.
I had the idea last December to do a Christmas project, and I did this just this little house carved out of some beach, and I was carving this
yeah.
little thing, and then I did some pyrography on it. Just went in the bin, that one.
I actually had, I think it's 2 years now. I just resurrected like a concept me and my father had for many years, that we built gingerbread houses out of solid rocket fuel, and I made a video of that. And it was one of the first videos I did, so I didn't have the equipment. And of course, I'm living in a densely populated area now as opposed to earlier, so I had to do the lighting at nighttime in a shady area, just not to draw attention to myself. And then, ooh, this would be like a nice tradition every Christmas to put out a new video. And of course, last Christmas came and stuff happened, and I couldn't film anything, and it just slipped away. So of course, there's always next Christmas, but like planning that ahead is also difficult.
I don't think we can just glance over the fact that you said solid rocket fuel.
That was the key word in that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear anything after that. So, is that weed killer based product, or
I know it's actually
you probably didn't want
well,
to say
it's
all the ingredients?
it's no, it's basically it's the same as they use in sugar rockets, and the one you can buy commercially for those who doing RC rockets is
Ah,
basically a
okay.
sugar and a nitrate mix.
Yeah.
And I have vast amounts of that stuff because, and that's also because of
And
my
now we're on a
father,
terror
because
list.
Yeah.
that's a nice thing. It's so old that it predates any lists, because my dad got it like from a fertilizing company that provides this in its purest form. And I just inherited that bag, and it's in my workshop in a fire safe box and so
Hey,
on. And of course, there has been some incidents worldwide that has made these substances harder to get by. But
right.
I think I have enough for the rest of my lifetime. So
It's banned in this country now. We used to play with it when I was at college and make similar things, and rockets
yeah.
and flare paper and all sorts. But unfortunately, it's gone now, and I haven't got an endless supply.
Well, I could ship you, but I mean, trying to send something like that in the mail, that will for sure put you on the many lists.
Yeah, it's not something to take on the plane either.
No. I haven't read everything in a fine print, but I'm pretty sure that rocket fuel is on that list somewhere.
Yeah, probably.
Rocket fuel's already on the plane. Surely it's okay.
That
Yeah.
depends on where the plane is going, I think. You don't want to go that high.
So I've made catapults and gun stocks on my channel, and KJ's made axes. Have you made any weapons, Havard?
Well, define weapons. I have actually found
I don't think you
myself.
can throw a helicorder at somebody and class it as a weapon.
Well, it's an instrument of
No.
terror, I think.
Very much so on the top of the list. Yeah.
Like the bagpipes.
No, I have. I think a lot of my projects could be by someone categorized as weapons, and I have actually named a few of the videos intentionally to avoid getting flagged because I made that Gatling snow cannon.
Ah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Putting gun in the headlines will they won't
Yeah.
show your video to everyone. And yeah, the bug sapper as well is a reversed potato cannon. But
They
I
were
mean, there's
both
a lot of
really clever
potato cannons
projects.
videos out there.
How did you figure out the mechanism for the Gatling gun? I mean, that must have taken a lot of thinking about. Although you've got a
Yeah,
design
that's
background, haven't you?
well, the easy answer is YouTube, but I've always admired the Gatling gun. That's mainly
Yeah.
because the functionality, the mechanism of it, because I did not know how it worked.
Yeah.
But then I saw I was searching for something else, and that's often how it happens. I was looking for something, and then somebody had 3D printed a Geneva drive, which is a way for the clock mechanism to make the hands move in steps.
Okay.
And then I realized, ooh, I can make that, and that will make a barrel go in steps. And then everything just fell into place. And I think it took me 2 days in Fusion 360 to just roughly design the parts and get them made. And it worked brilliantly. Well, brilliantly. There are some issues, but the mechanism works fine.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it is a cool design, the Gatling gun from the get go. I've always been a fan of that sort of thing. So now I hear my kids talking about miniguns as well and thinking they are cool. It's like, oh, should I show them that scene from Predator? No, they're a bit young still. Or the one from
Yeah.
Terminator, perhaps. Just wait a couple of years until that one as well.
Me and my son went through a whole phase of pimping Nerf guns. So you can double and triple the distance on a Nerf gun with a bit of extra battery power or opening up valves and all sorts. It was great fun. Spraying them different colours. That used to be our weekend hobby. That.
Nerf gun is a separate subgenre on YouTube, I realized, and I always wanted at some point to do something Nerf related. But when we were talking about Gatling guns, there's been a competition going on, which I didn't know about, of how many you can fire over, is it 20 or 40 seconds or something.
Okay.
Oh,
And I
Jesus.
just saw a video of someone using, I think he used between 2 and 3 years designing a Nerf Gatling gun just to beat that record. And he's a proper engineer as well. And he set the bar so high that there's no point in even thinking about it. So I still want to do something nerfy, but I have to find my own
could you
take on it.
could you fire them all at once? Could you do like a battery arrangement? Hook it up to the compressor.
I did actually think that compressed air would be a way to go, but yeah.
Definitely. I might feel a challenge coming on in the future.
The world's biggest nerf. Yeah, that's there's a lot of possibilities, I think, within that field. But how about you? Do you
Here goes nothings.
Yep, sorry.
You go ahead.
No, I was just playing ball back to how do you find your projects and what do you go for? I watch both your channels and I feel we are a lot of similar when it comes to the range of projects. It varies from musical instruments to woodworking to tool making and so on. So it's not a specific niche
No,
for any of us
no.
basically, but how do you stumble on to your projects?
I just get inspired by one particular thing, fixated even, and just think I'd really like a go at making that. The strum stick, for instance, my friend has a strum stick, a McNally strum stick, which is the sort of the best you can get. And I looked at that thing and thought I can make it better than that, having no musical experience. And I literally just started making it. I didn't prototype it. I watched one very old YouTube video, 11-year-old video on YouTube about how to make one about 4 months before I actually did it. And then just got stuck into it, and it just turned out great. But I think it was there was a lot of luck in that as well, and I wanted to make it slightly different, so I wanted to put the pickup in it. I couldn't see the point in making the same thing that everybody else had made, so I always like to put a little twist on things as well. That's where I go, just get inspired by things, and it can be a strumstick, a wooden spoon, anything really. I mean, the wooden spoon I made the other week was just because somebody had commented funny comments on some chopsticks that I'd made for my wife. He said I'd be safer with a spoon, so I made him one.
Yeah, I mean, this is the classical question that all creative people get: where do you get your ideas from? But I mean, I don't know where the ideas come from, but the reason why I do a project is because I need to. It's the only way to get it out of my head. When I have an idea for, I can do it this way, or I have it can be an idea for a video or an idea for a project, and the only way to get it out of my head is to try and do it, and
Or
either
get a better
succeed
idea.
or either succeed or fail miserably.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I have a handful of half-finished projects, and they are taking up memory as we speak. and as soon as I finished a project and done the video to where it's good enough and publish it, then it's like poof, it's gone from my head, and I feel the pressure release, and then something else rolls in and take that space. But that's just the ongoing problem, I
Do you
guess.
feel the need to hold on to your projects when you've made them? Do you have an
N-
attachment to them?
no,
No, I'm quite
none at
happy
all.
just to give everything away that I make.
When I'm done with it, I'm done.
uh,
I think somebody here has a special wall, don't they? What's it called? The
yeah,
wall of
I call
fame,
it the
or
red wall. Yeah, the red wall, because I had red paint and I've just used that for many projects, and then that's just become the de facto color. But yeah, I have a hard time giving away or taking things apart.
yeah,
And I always think that when I made the whiskey dispenser, I had a battery holder, so I used my Bosch batteries to operate it, because that's batteries that I have. But I realized that I can't get myself to take that out again to use it for other projects. So yesterday I bought a new battery holder for an upcoming project, because I don't want to take that project apart again, because then it's not complete.
yeah.
So it's a feeling then I have to complete it again at some point. But I am running. I'm not running out of space, but I mean, I could have used that wall for tools or more productive things than just hanging projects up on that wall. But I have that excuse, at least for myself, that it's a nice background for YouTube videos. So
Yeah,
I
Yeah, it is.
I use that as an excuse.
I mean,
definitely.
I think I'm partly the same in that I couldn't really scavenge parts from an old project because those parts belong to that project. That they're not mine anymore. It's that thing's stuff. But I don't really feel a need to keep it, to hold it. I mean, and I don't have the wall space to make a sort of wall of fame either, because all I mean, it's a limited space, and all of my stuff are they're tucked in somewhere. I mean, I have access hanging on most of my walls, but you can't really find them because they're hanging behind something, and you have to know where they are. So there's not no prominent places. But if anyone says, "Oh, that's really nice. I would like that," I would give it away in a heartbeat, because I don't need to have it. But I still couldn't really, if it wasn't broken, I couldn't really take it apart, I think.
And I feel the same way. And the inherent problem with that is that not many of the project have an aesthetic value. So it's not. Well, it fits in my workshop, but if I start putting things up in our living room, it would very soon be just my living room because I would be asked to move out to somewhere else. But
Yeah, you'll have to start making furniture. That works for me.
yeah, but I'm not using my projects, so it's very much like you say, KJ, that once I'm done with a project, I'm done with a project. So I have the kazoo amplifier. That's the only thing I have inside in our house because it's down here by my stereo, but I haven't played with it since I made the YouTube video. It was like I have a concept in mind, I need to build it to get it out of my head, and then of course I add some skills that I haven't done before so that I also learn something new, hopefully. But once it's done, it's done. So I haven't used it. So it doesn't make a sense not to take parts from it, at least from the inside, which no one can see, to use for something else. That's good economy, I guess. But then again, having something that's not working anymore because I've cannibalized it doesn't feel right. And then someday someone might be interested in actually seeing a seller, and then I can actually flick it on and ooh, it works.
So we've just hit an hour, guys. Do you want to wrap up? There's a couple of people we need to thank. Me and KJ have approached two other podcasts for a little bit of advice. Makers Waffle, Andy Pugh, and the Three Northern Makers, Steve Bell, helped us out with some advice. Thank you very much, guys. Now, do one of you two want to wrap up?
I had a thought. They say no, I didn't have a thought. I heard it on a podcast, so I thought I would steal it. That I would say a special thanks to all the future listeners who's coming back to the first episode and listening to this one. Nice to have you here, whenever you're listening.
Hello.